What is up, Soldiers? It's your boy Twisty, and today we're going to talk about this is a different kind of video to what I usually make. I mean, every video is kind of different from every other one, but so I just kind of I always watch like someone as well YouTube videos and other things like that, and you'll see a ton of videos about farmable teams, no, not farmable teams, but teams for Dragons B10, teams for TOA, teams for Giants, and all this kind of stuff, right? And to me, that's all kind of good, right? It's all fair and well. And I think it was it was Jubagel who posted a video about doing Dragons B10 with 2 and 3 star units, and which is fair enough. He managed to do it, although it was very close to failing a few times. So the percentage rate of that actually succeeding, I don't think is very high, and it's very subjective because I mean I don't know if I can't really probably cannot find him in arena, but we'll try. Sorry, I'm just kind of but see the issue with those kind of teams that they show is that how are these guys already this high up? Okay, they either have really good runes or monsters like Verdiheal and like Hua, Briand, Jisoon, and all this other kind of stuff. And I wanted to talk about replacing the natural 4 stars that almost everyone uses and who you would replace them with. Okay, so if we just take a look at the basic Nat 4s, let's just start off with the fire ones, okay? We're replacing the fire Nat 4s. And where are we at? Okay, so the main ones that you're going to see people use are Beretta is farmable anyway, but you see her used all the time, so that's okay. You're going to see a ton and ton of Verdiheal, and I can't dispute this. If you have Verdiheal, you should be using it. It's just not even debatable. The only other option that you have, if you do not have a Verd, in terms of farmable monsters, is probably Bernard. And you have to make Bernard super fast, and that's the only way I think you could achieve the same results than with a Vertiheal. I mean, the problem is that Bernards are built purely for speed for PvP, and that's what you're going to use them the most. So they tend not to be built Violent Revenge like Vertiheal, but you could potentially build a Violent Revenge Bernard. The difference is that you don't have the attack bar buff every single turn. You're gonna, even if you violent proc, you're only going to get the attack bar increase every 3 turns. So obviously Vertiheal's a lot better than Bernard for increasing the attack bar, but because Bernard's base speed is higher, you're more likely to get the first turn. But we're not talking about PvP, we're talking about PvE content here. So Bernard, in my opinion, is the only one who could really replace Vertiheal. And if you have Verd, obviously use Verd, but that is probably the way to go with regards to replacing Verd. Okay, so next one up is, I don't see Chloe used too often, actually. And although I see her sometimes built for dungeons, sometimes used for Dragons B10, she's used more for the stall-based teams. And Ibella Dion can do basically a better heal. Verskill does nothing anyway, in terms of PvE. But the Fnatic cost is very good. But what tends to happen is, even if you build a Chloe really fast, this tends to get wasted, because if you're trying to outspeed a lot of the dungeons most of the time, your monsters are going to outspeed anyway, so they're losing invisibility. And then you have the immunity, which is great, but I wouldn't worry too much if you see a Chloe used in a team and trying to replace Chloe. We're talking about PvE. PvP is a different whole story, but I don't want to get into that right now. Okay, so next one is Hua. Hua is kind of really not actually that replaceable, because I mean, you can use Spectra in place of Hua, but again, like with Vertiheal, Spectra's only going to do it every 3 or 4 turns. Hua's doing it. Hua is decreasing the attack bar pretty much most of the time, like pretty much every single turn. And also, several times per turn because she has a built-in violent proc basically. So, but in regards to dots, there's plenty of other dot monsters that are farmable, which like the water cowgirl you can use for dots if you're trying to go purely for dots. Decreasing attack bars, you're gonna have to go with Spectra and Beretta. That's probably the best way to go to achieve the similar effects to Hua. It requires 2 monsters, but that's probably the way to go to replace Hua. Okay. Next up, that you'll commonly see in dungeons. I think that's pretty much everyone that you see it from fire. I never see anyone else used in teams. I mean, Platy shows up sometimes as a revive, but if you're replacing her, just use the water. I can't. McCain is what she's called. McKean. I don't even care what she or how you pronounce it. You'll see her. You'll see her in here. So this is the water section, and that's who you replace. This is who you replace Platy with. Okay. So let's go into the 4-stars again. You're gonna see her used quite a lot. And well, maybe not loads of times, but she's probably the best farmable reviver that you have. I mean, I see people use Michelle, but Michelle's actually not really that great. Her revive is like 25% or something like that. It's not amazing. At least her revive is 40% HP. It's not the greatest revive, but she also has the heal here as well. It's 25% heal, and it does glancing hit. So she does have a decent kit as a reviver which you can use. So she's probably the best farmable reviver you can have, and it's not the replacement for her is any other better reviver, but you probably don't have them as much. Okay, so who else? Tyron I see used in, but I don't know. He's not really used in. I don't see him used in terms of like dragons and giants. We're trying to replace monsters for dragons and giants. Obviously, for TOA, you could use something like the fire inferno could work as the CC. Well, there's plenty of other farmable CC monsters and other in just general 3-star CC monsters. Any monster with AOE skills, just put Despair, and that fills the role of Tyron if you're trying to use it for TOA or something like that. Lumericia, again, use Belladion. That's probably the way to go if you're trying to replace Lumericia. I mean, she does dots, but I see her using dragons. And if you haven't seen my other videos, I actually fed Lumericia because I was not really using her, and I wasn't really thinking of many situations where I wanted to use her. She's good, but the way I play, I don't like to have my monsters go down so far in HP that I need a full HP recovery. So, and also because it was single target, I usually fight AoE monsters. It just seems like that. So I just fed her. I wasn't happy with using her. And okay, so who else would you see in dungeons? Quite commonly, I don't think you'd see anyone else. I mean, you might see Galleon used in Giants B10 as a speed team, and basically, what you got to do here as a replacement for him is just take an attack buffer, say like Megan. That's what he's mainly used for, and like a defense break. I mean, AoE defense break is pretty hard to find in the game. There's not many other farmable options as regards to AoE defense break. You could use the Fire Inferno for AoE defense break, but he's fire and Giants B10 is water, so probably doesn't work out that well. But that has potential, and of course, fire is too squishy for Giants B10 anyway. But that is potential, small option if you have really, really good runes to use. Okay, so that's pretty much everyone out of here. I mean, Chilling, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so Chilling, I see him used in Dragons B10 teams, and the replacement that you would have is probably Bella, and then Megan. Bella and Megan are your best replacements for Dragons B10. However, you really need solid speed on your Megan, so that she is constantly using the second skill as well. Otherwise, the dragon's going to get so many turns that the boss is going to be able to apply immunity anyway. And you need a good accuracy on Megan. So accuracy and speed and HP, they are obviously things that you need for dragons in general, but it's pretty hard to do. But obviously chilling is great, but people have done Dragons B 10 without chilling before. Chilling was never in the game until recently, so I wouldn't worry too much about trying to replace chilling on a team, okay? Emma you will see quite often, similar skills to Bella, actually, instead, but this has glancing, and this has a shield on top of the heal. So, I mean, Emma's better than Bella in situations, but obviously it depends whether you want a defense break or a glancing hit, to be honest with you. Okay, so the main ones you're going to see is the wind. We're not going to look at the light and dark because no one has light and dark at 4 stars. Like, majority of people will not, so we're not even going to, no one builds those kind of teams anyway. So, let's have a look at the wind nat 4s that we commonly see. She's farmable. She's farmable now thanks to the guild shop, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, you may see Delphi. The only other options with regards to immunity, there's not any nat. There's not a single nat 3 that has AOE immunity. I mean, like the Water Yeti, I think has immunity, but that's just him by himself. So there's not really any other options. So you can't really do much with regards to that. So yeah, I'm trying to say how to replace her, but just use a healer and use Connor Maya to cleanse. But in terms of immunity, there's not really any anyone like it. But use Connor Maya if you're trying to do something like that. Acasis. So Acasis I see a lot in Dragons B10 teams, and yeah, that's fine and good. But to be honest with you, the reason why people say she's so good for Dragons B10 is because, oh, she's got a heal, you put her on the spare, she can stun, and then you have dots here, helps you clear the boss faster, then you have a shield to stay alive. That's all fine and good, but in my opinion, Casis is just kind of a waste. As soon as you can do Giants B10 with a speed team, you'll never use a Casis again in the game because you can't use a PvP because of buff removal. PvE, like Trial Ascension, you don't want them to attack anyway, so the shield's not going to help you. The shield might help you survive, but like the majority of the time they'll punch right with the shield and one-shot someone, so she's not actually great for Trial Ascension. You have stuns, you have dots, it's great for the start of Giants, but I'll tell you why she's not that great for Giants. And everyone thinks that she helps with speed teams, and I'm telling you this right now, to speed run Giants B10, you need to basically have a really strong single DPS nuker, like a wind nuker, single target DPS. Okay, Taor, the Water Chimera is a good example of it. And then you just need to have you take your Lucians, your Lagmarons, your AOE wind nukers, and you just blast through all the mob stages. The boss itself is not a worry for people who are trying to speedrun Giants B10. They are just trying to clear the mob stage really quick, and then the boss, they just nuke the boss enough. They do not worry about playing dots. So I see a case in all these speed teams, and they say speed, but it takes like 4.5 minutes for them to do it, so I don't class that as a speed team. If it takes you more than 2.5 minutes to do a Giants B10 run, it's not a speed team in my opinion. I know some people are going to disagree, but that's just my thoughts on Acasis. Is she worth a 6-star? She is a support monster, and I will stand by my rule of 6-starring supports over your nukers, unless you have like a Lucian or a 5-star or something like that, because you're always going to need to have your supports. However, in this case, I 6-star the Acasis. I used to have a Giants B10 until I couldn't use them for anything else. Like until I got like Lucian and other nukers to speedrun it in like 4 minutes. That it's not really speeding, but do it quicker. Then she was useful until then, but after that, she's been in storage for quite a while. So yeah, she's in storage. So okay, so let's go back to that. A little bit of a talk about Acasis. You're going to see Lucian quite a lot in some speed teams, and it's kind of obvious. Lucian's one of the strongest nukers in the game. 40k damage on his 3rd skill. 2nd skill could easily hit a 15,000 on a defense break. So the replacement for a Lucian is just to, like, honestly, Sigmaris. Sigmaris is probably the best, one of the better nukes you have in terms of farmable monsters to replace Lucian with. And if you just, I mean, like, to be honest with you, like, use Akamir. Use, like, farm the Ifrit pieces, and try and get Akamir, or even Theomars. Theomars is a good one for single target DPS, but Akamir is really underrated, and he's one of the strongest attackers in the game because his first skill can scale very, very high if you have enough debuffs. So that's what I would try and do if you're trying to replace a Lucian. I actually got a second Lucian, so GG your arena defense. But so I'm building that bad boy up. Okay, so I'll go next. Orochi. Orochi has lost value, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, 6-star him," but you don't really need a 6-star Orochi, and I personally wouldn't. They go, "Oh, he does this. This skill, understandably, has like a low percentage scale on the damage. So this isn't like a nuke skill. However, if you do a decent amount of damage, this could potentially take off 30% of the enemy's HP. However, you need accuracy and you need crit rate, which is the biggest problem with Orochi, is trying to build both of those, okay? And you need speed. He's got a decent base speed to start off with, but his HP and his defense are so low that he's very squishy as well. So you basically need like crit rate, speed, HP, you need defense. There's high room requirements for Orochi to be sustainable and very, very good in fights in PvP. PvEs, I mean, but he is good, I can't deny it. However, he's been outclassed by the farmable Water Cowgirl. And I'll just show you her, because you're probably wondering who she is. You probably do know who she is by now. I haven't got one. I've tried to get one, and I pulled the fire one, I think, like 3 times. It really pissed me off. So I've just left that on the side as a thing I'll do once I get like Akamir or once I get my Ifrits. Then I'm gonna try and get the Water Cowgirl, and then I'm just gonna go for legendary pieces over and over again. Maybe the flags actually for long-term benefit, but at the moment, not too worried. Yeah, the reason why her skill is probably better, even though it's like a 65% chance, maybe it goes up to like 80, you don't need crit rate, you just need accuracy, so it makes it easier to build her. And a lot of players are going to prefer to use her. Her stats probably are going to be lower because she's a natural 3-star, but it doesn't matter as much. You can just get, if you get good enough runes, enough HP, because you can put more HP on now, because you can do HP on 4, instead of having to do crit rate on 4. So that's the replacement for Orochi. So if you see people using Orochi in their teams, I wouldn't worry too much. You just build a Water Cowgirl and you'll be fine. Next one you may commonly see is, and this is probably the most common one you're going to see, actually the second most common is Brionne. You'll notice there's a lot of wind monsters here, and it's just, in general, a lot of the good monsters in the game are just wind and fire. Not really a lot of good water monsters, to be honest with you, which is a shame, but oh well. Brionne, AoE attack break, disturb HP, what can we say? I mean, one of the best revives in the game as well. It's just insane. But the main one to go for, if you don't have him, is to go for the Water Undyne, which I showed you guys earlier. It has a revive, so it's not, depending on the situation, it could be a better or a worse revive. And also has a heal instead of the third skill, instead of the second skill. She doesn't have an AoE attack break. She has glancing hit AoE, which can work in a similar way, just reduces the damage assuming it lands. So you could potentially run her with Despair as well. And of course, she has a stun. I think it's a freeze, but he's got disturb HP. So yeah, Brionne's overall better. But if you don't have Brionne, I don't have Brionne, so I've had to build a Water Undyne to replace him for when I need a reviver, and that's what I've done. And I use it quite a lot actually. I use it in Dragons B10, and I use it sometimes in PvP as well. So the #1 monster which you're gonna see all the bloody time, and it annoys me that it's all in pretty much every single composition is Jasoon. I don't have a Jasoon, I don't have Chloe, I don't have Verda, I don't have Brienne. The struggle is real. But I have like Perna and Chiwu, which are like two of the end game Nat 5s, and it annoys me that I have these Nat 5s and I don't have like the staple Nat 4s. But what can you do? I have double Lucian, so I should be okay in PvP. Chiwu, Bernard, double Lucian. Yeah, should work out okay. Yeah, because the buff removal, assuming no accuracy. So, anyway, which is soon. The only way to really replace Jasoon is to build a Bella, and you're only really replacing the second skill. The third skill, one of the strongest heals in the game. It's not even a heal, it's just a balance, and it's fucking overpowered. Like, you've seen many times, that Theomars can have 1 HP, and Jasoon will bring it right back up. You know, just those Jasoon and Theomars comps you know, they just make everyone want to quit the game, and I do feel the pain. But that's probably the best way to go. She's got glancing on the first hit, but it's annoying, but it's not like you know. I'd say Bella is the best way to go to replace Jasoon. So this was kind of a longer video. For some odd reason, like whenever I make these videos, they just take forever. I don't even understand how the time goes on so quick. But that was explaining just, you know, obviously how to replace some of the nat 4s that you see like all the time. And you'll probably guess that the staple like monsters you use to replace them are like your Bernard, your Bella, your Water Undyne, your Konomaya, your basically your staple monsters, and your Spectra. And I highly recommend 6-starring pretty much all of them, and obviously Sigmar's. I just recommend 6-starring them. This is what I like have done with the monsters that I have, because I you know, you cannot play the game hoping to get Vertiheal or hoping to get Jasoon, although I am hoping to get, you know, a Jasoon or Vertiheal at some point, but you just gotta play it this way. And this is a big thing I want to stress at the end of this as well. Like, people think, oh my god, how am I going to do Dragonsby 10 without Jasoon? And you'll see in the next video, which I post up, like, I do Dragonsby 10 with basically farmable units. You only need to have the Fire Beast Hunter to get Veromos, and you can do Dragonsby 10. It's very, very slow, but you can do it. And it does work majority of the time as well. So you'll see that but like in general, the best way to progress is to get your Giants team down, get your Dragons team down. Like, jumping from Giants to Dragons takes forever, but once you do that, then you gotta really push for TOA monsters. You gotta really hit TOA. As you can see here, like if you haven't already guessed, TOA. That's TOA. That's TOA. And I'm building him purely for TOA. He's TOA. So, and obviously he's 6-starred purely for TOA. Like, literally, I'm not using it for anything else but TOA. And purely just because of TOA, just because how big TOA is part of the game, that's enough to make me want to build Mav. So, once you start clearing TOA normal, you get those legendary scrolls a month. Then you can hopefully get some of the better Nat 4s, Nat 5s as well. Maybe, most likely Nat 4s. And then hopefully you can get like Jasoon's, Verds, the Chloes, the Brians, and that will take you even further up into the game. And that's really how you have to progress. Like, I hate to say it, but to progress really far into the game without the Nat 4s, like Briand and Jasoon especially, it's going to be tough. It is really tough. And I'm in the same position where I'm really having to focus on TOA to clear TOA hard and clear TOA normal to be able to get the scrolls to be able to get further in the game. But I hope that kind of just showed you guys that even if you don't have these monsters, you can still do a lot of the things. You can still have the same utility, just not as great. But if you have decent enough runes, you can manage without those monsters, and that's what I'm trying to do. See you guys next video. Peace out.